And Trevin, what are you going to tell the Premier of Ontario and his finance minister about what they ought to do on spending next year?
So governments have a very important role to play in economic recovery, but putting Canadians on the government payroll is not necessarily an economic recovery plan in and of itself. And I think a lot of the debate around debt and deficits is, it's almost a false choice. You know, people frame it as either you're for austerity or because interest rates are low, you're for just unlimited spending. And it almost ignores the really important questions, which is not whether we should be spending. I know very few people that are calling for austerity right now. It's how much can and should we be spending, and what should we be spending it on? And these are very important questions, considering the deficit that we've racked up so far. There's an IMF study that came out earlier this week, and Canada has the distinction of running the largest deficit amongst all countries at almost 20% of GDP. And so this is going to have a huge impact on Canada and Canadians. And so we have to think about, well, are we spending the right amount? Not necessarily is spending itself important, but also what we're spending it on, right? There was a report from RBC earlier this week as well, saying that in the second quarter of this year, the amount of transfers that went to households surged by a whopping $56 billion versus $23 billion. That was a decline in earned wages and salaries. And so, that $30+ billion difference is money that could be spent on other aspects of economic recovery, whether it's childcare, whether it's infrastructure. And so these are the real important questions that we need to be asking.